What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this little miniature episode of Press Any Key. Nick and Mike they're indisposed tonight. That's what I'll say. And everybody's kind of busy for the next 2 weekends, so we're just going to take some time off and then regroup for Guardians of the Galaxy. I believe that episode's going to drop May 7th or May 8th. Either way, I just want to make sure that this gets out so you guys have something to listen to and maybe, have a little bit better experience at the movies this weekend if you decide to go check something out. So I actually saw Evil Dead Rise tonight. Now, right off the bat, I'm not a super big Evil Dead guy. I like the movies. I think they're really cool. I think that Sam Raimi broke a lot of ground with Evil Dead 2. I liked the reboot back in 2013. However, it's been years since I've seen that, so I don't even know if that's even good or if it even holds up. But I remember liking it back then. So either way, we went and saw this tonight, and right off the bat, I liked it. I think it's good, not great, and I think some of its problems kind of stem from the expectations of what an Evil Dead movie is supposed to be. Maybe that's my problem, but it didn't seem like the audience was very into it. So yeah, I was in an entirely packed theater. It was hard for us to get tickets to this. And it was full of Evil Dead fans. And the guy next to me had to be a super big Evil Dead fan because he was calling out all the references. And it's like, oh, they said the line and all this. But even then, I've been to screenings where audiences have clapped and stood afterwards. And this was just absolute silence as soon as the credits rolled. So not sure how the fans are feeling about this one specifically. Right off the bat, this is directed by Lee Cronin, I believe his name is. And the executive producers are Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. So this wasn't just made without the original creator's consent. Some of the good that I have in here right off the bat is the cast. I think the cast is phenomenal. They cast this movie really well, specifically Lily Sullivan as Beth. She's really great as our leading lady. I think that she has a lot of charisma. I think that she has a lot of spirit. And I think that you need that to be the lead in a horror film, especially something like Evil Dead, because it's not necessarily that you are the final girl, like this weak, vulnerable girl. You got to be this shotgun toting, chainsaw wielding badass. And I feel like she really got that. She really embodied, let's just say, the Bruce Campbell of what this movie is supposed to be.
Groovy.
However, Alyssa Sutherland, who plays the sister who gets possessed, which is you can see in the trailer, she is on fire the entire movie. I know they do some modulation with her voice, but I mean, her ability to act with her body and just the physicality of the role in general and faces that she has to make, it's just, it was great. I thought she was excellent the entire time. I feel like actors who play the creature in the film, they kind of get overlooked, and not in this case. She kind of stole the show. The kids were fine. There's not really any child actor in this movie that's gonna move the needle as far as child acting is concerned, but they were fine. There was nothing that was hokey. There was nothing that seemed like they should have got another take of that. I feel like that was all really well done and well crafted. So speaking of well-crafted, the tension in this movie, the moments of tension that they're building up to a scare is awesome. I mean, there are some great moments, especially towards the latter half of the film. There are some excellent tension building scenes where you only see a glimpse of the creature, or you only see a this of the creature, or there's really quite a lot of cool, inventive ways that they figure out how to build tension, and I really enjoyed that. The other thing is the gore. Oh my god. If you're into gore at all, this movie is for you. I mean, holy shit. There is gore from one end of this movie to the other. There is shit that I was watching in this movie that I was wincing at, churning in my seat over. There's not a lot that I get too uncomfortable with when watching movies at this point, but there's a lot of stuff in here I was like, oh man, I don't know if I could fucking deal with this, or oh man, I gotta look away. There was quite a lot of that. And even then, just it's an Evil Dead movie, so there's gonna be an excess of gore, but it kind of caught me off guard by just how much there was, and maybe some people are into that, and I'm happy for them. But man, there was a lot. There was a lot. Another thing that I really liked was specifically the creature and demon design. I know it's kind of bog standard, I guess, or kind of run of the mill for what these Evil Dead movies look like, but it's still very effective. I mean, the golden eyes, the gray washed out skin, the nails, And not only that, the creaks and cracks that they make. You got to remember the sound design is also encompassed in a part of the creature design. So specifically the sounds they didn't make, the cracks and the creaks and the voice, it was all really, really good. Now, I think let's just get into some of the bad stuff, or not even bad, just the stuff that I don't think was all that great. So, number one, the pacing. Pacing of this movie, it's not all over the place, but it kind of starts out really strong. Like, I mean, it starts out really strong. Kind of sets up the whole vibe and tone of the movie about what you're going to get on. And then it immediately just puts on the brakes, and you are just stuck in act one of a movie that you thought had already begun, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know, but my point is that like it kind of starts off slowly again. I'll put it like this. It's not really bad necessarily. I don't think anything in this movie is necessarily bad or awful or anything, because I've seen way worse shit. But these are kind of the weaker elements of the film, I think. The pacing. And it's not even that it's bad. It's just it has a real strong start, like a big bang. And then I kind of feel like you have these really uninteresting characters afterwards that you know are just going to get slaughtered anyway. So you don't really give a shit about anything that's going on. And you kind of like start with their lives, and like you catch up with, you know, a divorce situation, a broken home, a this or that. And, you know, it's kind of this precursor to what is to come, obviously, in the rest of the movie. But the issue is that there's no themes here. There's nothing that they're playing with. There's no like dynamic between the characters that plays over into the carnage later on, because you know that that's just like the demon talking, I guess. So it doesn't really work. I don't know. My whole thing is just that like that aspect of the film I felt like was kind of weak. That's not to say that it's bad. I just didn't like it as much as some of the other stuff. That kind of brings me to my last point. Once again, not bad, but definitely weaker than most of the other stuff in the movie, is that when this movie is trying to be anything than an Evil Dead movie, it just kind of drags and it's just boring. Like there was never a time where I was like rolling my eyes or I was like, ugh, come on, like let's get it up. But I did check my phone once or twice, and I do feel like if I'm checking my phone in the movie that I feel like I'm being taken out of the movie, or my mind would rather drift somewhere else. Now, I'm not sure if that's a combination of like what TikTok has done to me as a human being, or I'm not sure if like, you know, it's just, you know, some form of ADHD that I don't know that I have. But I do make it a referendum on the movie that if I'm checking my phone during the movie, then it's not sucking me in as much as I thought it would. Overall, I like the movie. I don't think it's going to go into like my Halloween rotation or like my October rotation at all. If someone's going to ask me what Evil Dead movie should I watch, I'd still point them to number 2. But even then, I mean, you know, this is still a good time at the theaters. If you're a fan of the Evil Dead movies, I'm sure you will be satisfied with this in some capacity. Even if you're not a fan of the Evil Dead movies, you're still going to get like a solid haunted house movie. And I think that's what quite a lot of people are looking for. So yeah, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. Go ahead and check this out. It should be a good time. You know, in general, the last, I guess you would say like 6 to 8 months at the box office, I feel like has really not so much financially been carried, but as far as quality has been concerned, has been carried by horror films. And I'm glad to see that that trend is still happening. There was quite a lot of trailers for movies that are coming out in a couple weeks. Specifically, one that I saw was like The Boogeyman or Talk to Me. And once again, those also look like interesting horror films that I really can't wait to see. Hey, look, I was taken off guard by Smile. So in this instance, I'm all for it. Like let's get more horror in there because it's been good to us so far. So with that being said, thanks so much for listening to this little mini episode, this little non-spoiler review. Hopefully you go check out the movie or, you know, whatever, you know, hit us up in the comments, join our Discord, do all those things. We'll see you in a bit. Okay? Goodbye.